Welcome back to more Pokémon Platinum. So last time we became the champion of the Sinnoh region by defeating Cynthia, although it was a very close battle, and yeah, she definitely put a number on my team, that's dang sure. So, in this part we're going to be talking about a lot of new Pokemon basically. That's the main theme. We're basically going to be talking about how to gain access to a lot of new Pokemon in the mainland of Sinnoh. And the first one is going to be the Power Park, a place for new beginnings. And Oka's here. Oh, Naraka, this is it. This is Power Park. Pokemon from around the country can be bought here. In other words, Pokemon from places like Kanto and Hoenn. This place also happens to be where you compete to see how quickly you can catch those Pokemon. It's good to see you come to join us for a visit. Let me make a gift. Let me make a gift of this trainer counter app for your Poketch. So we get the trainer counter. The trainer counter app tracks the Pokemon Radar's rankings. I plan to be in Eternity for some time. Being here, I should make the best of my time studying the Pokemon of the Sinnoh region. And that's a hint for something else, which we're not going to cover for a little bit because it's really annoying. But anyway, I've heard trainers complain that rare Pokemon take longer to appear. Is it easier to start with common Pokemon? That is true. Power Park is so scintillating. Trainers of Pokemon are so full of intensity here. I've never seen some Pokemon. Would you show me if you had one? Let's see. Pokemon that does nothing but eat and sleep. What was that Pokemon's name again? Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. The current record holder is Barry with 2,000 points. Can you top that? Catching show. It's a head-on clash of will and wits between trainer and Pokemon. I especially look forward to seeing Pokemon from Kanto and Hoenn, but it tugs at my heartstrings to know they're so far away from them. I came to see Naraka's catching show with Daddy. I hope it starts soon. Naraka, my daughter's a big fan of yours. A day doesn't go by without her demanding we come see catching shows. That's really cool. People come here not only to see the catching show, we get to see rare and exotic Pokemon on top of the catchers. The excitement gets me all jacked up. So, yeah, let's talk a little bit about how Power Park works. Unfortunately, I won't be able to show it. I really wish I could, but it's a bit complicated, and I'm pretty sure because we found out, thanks to the Game Corner, I'm using a European version of Pokémon Platinum. I think that means that we actually can't. Because I'm pretty sure that we used North American versions of Leaf Green and Emerald when we played those, so yeah, that's a bummer. But yeah, let's talk about it. So what you do is, the DS has the ability to play GBA games. You insert the slot, there's basically a slot on the bottom, you can play a GBA game in there, and then yeah, with that you'll be able to migrate Pokemon from that game into here. It's actually done from the start screen actually. So once they're migrated, you come here, you play the Power Park catching show, and you find them. Now the thing about the Pokemon is, where it's found, basically there's an area and there's different areas. Like there's like a foresty area, a watery area and stuff like that. Certain Pokemon appear in some places, so if you want to get a good score, you want to know ahead of time where your Pokemon are found. So yeah. And again, of course the biggest draw though is the fact that yeah, you can transfer your Pokemon from Gen 3 to Gen 4. And because of that, you're able to actually transfer a Pokemon all the way from Gen 3 to the modern day as well. Thanks to the other similar features, so yeah. It's really cool stuff. Again, I wish I could have shown it, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I can't. I think I will need to change the save file format of Platinum as well, maybe? Or maybe I was getting that completely wrong, that's okay. So yeah, to make up for it, let's talk about some other ways we can catch new Pokemon. Let's go to Sandrum Town and let's talk about the Pokéradar because well, we just got an app that's related to it. So I believe one of the best routes to show off the Pokéradar is actually over here. I think you actually want repels for this, so yeah. I'm not gonna, go all in because of the Pokéradar, let's just say it's kind of important for something, which I will talk about while we're using it for a little bit. Say, this looks good. You want a big patch of grass. You obviously want to register the Pokéradar, so yeah. And I'll also move it to the top then. It's registered for the time being, and let's give it a go, shall we? So yeah, basically what you do is, it makes the grass shake, and then yeah, you're able to find a Pokemon, and what you need to do with this Pokemon is defeat it. Because by doing that, you'll get the chain going, basically. And yeah. Another thing you need to look out for too is how quickly the grass shakes. So yeah. Because yeah, if it shakes a lot, then yeah, you can keep a chain going, and then the higher the chain, the better the Pokemon becomes. And also, more importantly for a lot of people, if you get a really good chain, you can find shiny Pokemon. It's a shiny hunting method, and one of the first in the series, in fact, I'm pretty sure. Alongside another method called the Masuda method. But you need to be quick though, to keep the chain going, I'm pretty sure, so yeah. So anyway, yeah. Yeah, I think, yeah, the thing about the Poké shiny hunting method, I wasn't able to do it because, I only got into shiny hunting around Generation 6, Generation 7, so yeah. So that means that, yeah, that means, yeah, it took me like a long time to be like invested in shiny hunting. So yeah, I was long past it Generation 4. So yeah. And yeah, this one's a more intense one because you need to be paying attention. A lot of shiny hunting methods are pretty basic. You can definitely like look away from your screen. If you want, like maybe like read chat stuff if you're doing live stream stuff. Yeah, this one though, you need to be quite focused. So yeah, that's what makes it pretty unique when it comes to some other shiny hunting methods. So yeah. So yeah. I did just finish the Masuda method. I guess I could talk about that a little bit while we're just doing this. The Masuda method, it's a shiny hunting method that involves hatching eggs. And how that works is, yeah, basically you have the two Poké you bring, you need to basically come from different places in the world. So like, like, when I was shiny hunting with the Masuda method, I basically use a Japanese Ditto that I got from somewhere, and then yeah, I breed it with my own Pokemon, and then there you go, Masuda method. So yeah. So that's how that works. And yeah, I did definitely get my fair share of shiny hunting Pokemon with that method. It's definitely probably one of my favorite methods because you're able to control the Pokemon, what it's like a lot. Like you can give it egg moves, you can give it good IVs, you can give it a hidden ability maybe, all that good stuff. So yeah, while we're doing this, I think I'm gonna stop here. Because yeah, I want to talk about the Pokemon. So yeah, and yeah, if the music stops, then that means that yeah, you broke the chain, so yeah. But yeah, that was actually quite a lot of fun. I actually had a lot more fun doing that than I was expecting. But anyway, I don't know why I went to Jubilite, but let's quickly talk about the Pokemon that are exclusive with the Poké Radar. There isn't that... I actually want to go to Sandstorm actually for the next thing I want to talk about, so yeah. So we'll do that first. So let's quickly go over these Pokemon. I'm not going to go into, again, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I'm just going to go over what I remember of them, so yeah. In this generation. So, on Route 201, we're going to be going over all the routes that we've actually, you know, encountered, so yeah. So first off, Route 201, the Nidorats can be found there. They're very cool Pokemon. They become poison ground types when they're fully evolved. They have very good type coverage. They have access to some really good moves nowadays, like Earth Power, thanks to Generation 4, so yeah. Nidoran female, which evolves to Nidoqueen eventually, thanks to Moonstone. That was actually a really good Pokemon competitive because it's bulky and I was able to put up toxic spikes. So yeah, that was really cool. But yeah, I love these two. They're not as powerful as they are in the next generation because of a hidden ability, but yeah. Still really great Pokemon. Next up on Route 202 is Centro. Not a great Pokemon. It's an early game normal type with not very impressive stats. Its move pool is kind of bland, and It does a good type coverage to be honest, yeah, but with its low attacking stats, I doubt it's gonna be doing much. And yeah, its evolution for it, keep Pokemon, but yeah, it's not amazing unfortunately. Then we got Sunken. Sunken is the Pokemon with the lowest BST. It can be found on Route 204 North. Yeah, like I said, but it does evolve into Sunflora, a kind of sun-sweeping Pokemon. I think it now gets Solar Power as the ability, but it's so slow that, yeah, and vulnerable, yeah, it's probably gonna get knocked out before it can do anything, but I'm pretty sure it has access to Earth Power now for type coverage, which is really cool, so yeah. It's not a great Pokemon, but, you might find something interesting, especially if you have Sun on your side, so yeah. You probably want to run Chlorophyll. Hoppip is found on Route 205 South. It's alright, I guess. It's supposedly a fast, annoying Pokemon that statuses the enemy, maybe like Sleep Powder for example. That's mainly what it does, because its attacking stats are really bad, but it's really fast once it becomes a jump left. Unfortunately, this generation doesn't really have a lot of the tools that make it such a fun Pokemon later game generations. Like, yeah, it gets like Rage Powder and stuff in later generations, is really cool. In this generation, it's just kind of there, and it like annoys you with Sleep Powder and stuff, that's really all it does. I think Leech Seed too. So there's that. Slowpoke can be found on Route 205 North. A very good Water Psychic type Pokemon. Sure, it's slow, but it has really good bulk and 2 really good evolutions. Slowbro has more physical defense, Slowking has more special defense. They have nice type coverage too, considering they can live Flamethrower and Fire Blast, so yeah, I really love these two. They're great Pokemon. Then our return to 6 is Baltoy, a ground psychic type. Very cool type, it's just that, yeah, it doesn't really hit back very hard. It's more of a tanky support Pokemon, but it does lend some pretty good moves to that, like Screens. Amy is like Carmine and stuff. It's a cool Pokemon, I like it. Claydol's a pretty cool Pokemon, but yeah, it's definitely not as powerful as it once was. Although thanks to the physical and social split, it does have access to Earthbound now, so it can hit on the social side with ground type moves, which is cool. Stantler is on Route 207, kind of a mediocre Pokemon, especially as a normal type. It can mix attack a little bit and has Today, which is cool, but yeah, I feel like there's just better normal type Pokemon that are more specialized than Stantler, which is why, yeah, I don't find it super interesting. But again, that type coverage though is really cool because it can actually use special moves because it has decent special attacks, so yeah. Route 208 has a very important Pokemon, Smeargle. Smeargle's not a good Pokemon to the stats. They're appalling. But it has the move Sketch, so it's able to sketch any move in the game. And yeah, Generation 4 introduced one of its most infamous moves, Dark Void, which yeah, we'll talk about later. But yeah, Smeargle's a really good utility Pokemon. In battle, it basically just sets things up, like Spikes for example, Hazards with Spore as well, that's also a really good move for it. But outside that, it has other good roles, mainly the fact that it can be used for breeding, because you can basically give it all the moves you want to breed onto the other Pokemon, and yeah, that's really useful. But yeah, it's mainly just a utility Pokemon, so yeah, there's nothing else to really say about it. Route 209 has a Pokemon we talked about in Curlia. This is the only place you can find... The Pokeride is the only way you can find Curly on this route, but yeah, it can be caught elsewhere, so I wouldn't really go for it. Because yeah, Pokeride are a little bit hard to find, especially it feels easier to find the Pokemon that are actually in the grass, I guess, but anyway. Next up is Tauros and Miltank. Both of them can be found on Route 200 to the south. They're both really decent normal types. Tauros has Intimidate, really good attacking stats, and a pretty decent move pool, thanks to like moves like Earthquake, and Payback even. So yeah, it's not bad. It's definitely not as good as it used to be, because there's better normal types now, but yeah, still, it's decent. And then Miltank is still decent. As the name suggests, it's a tank, but it's actually quite fast, which yeah, can catch a lot of people off guard. And it even has some pretty interesting moves on its side, like Body Slam, even like Earthquake and stuff. It also has its signature move Milk Drink, which yeah, that's really annoying to deal with how tanky it is, so yeah. Very solid normal type Pokemon with some decent type coverage too. Bagon can be found on Route 210 North. Yeah, this is a powerhouse, alright. It starts off as a weak Dragon type Pokemon, but once it goes to level 50, it becomes Salamence, a Dragon Flying type Pokemon that got banned in this generation because it has access to Outrage, which yeah. I think it also has access to Dragon Darts too, so yeah, this is an almighty Pokemon. One of the best Dragon-type Pokemon there is. That is an electric Pokemon, so yeah, very good Pokemon, and one of my brother's favorites. Tyro can be found Route 211 West. This can evolve into 3 different Flying-type Pokemon, Hitmonchan, Hitmonlee, and Hitmontop, depending on what its stats look like. And yeah, these Pokemon are decent. Hitmonlee has really good attacking stats, and decent type coverage too, even gets Blaze Kick now. Hitmonchan really loves the physical and special split because all those punching moves that it used to have, they're now physical, and I think it even has the Iron Fist abilities, so its punching moves have extra grunt, which is really nice. And Hitmontop has Intimidate, making it a very good support Pokemon. Especially in double battles, which is where it got most of its use, because it also gets use like Fake Out, so yeah, it was an amazing Pokemon. Route 211 North also has Smeargle, but the south version of Route 212 has Grimer. Alright, Poison type Pokemon. It's not nothing too amazing, also because of luck. It has decent moves, but yeah, it's nothing like super special, so yeah. In my opinion, so yeah. It just does what it does, basically, that's really it. It does a good special defense though, I will give it credit for that, so yeah. It's an alright Pokemon, but nothing too impressive. Then we got Swellow on Route 213. This is also a very fast, normal flying type, with some decent power thanks to the Guts ability on its type Facade. I think it also gets Brave by this generation thanks to like breeding and stuff, so that's really nice. But yeah, I don't think it's as good as Staraptor, I don't think Staraptor does close combat, but Swellow is still a very decent Pokemon. Route 214 has Poochyena, a very mediocre Dark-type Pokemon. Its stats fully evolved aren't impressive. It does have decent moves on its side because I'm pretty sure it gets the Fang moves now, which is cool. But yeah, Mightyena is just a really mediocre Pokemon. Even though Intimidate's a really nice ability. Route 217 can allow you to find Piloswine. This is the only way you can find Piloswine in the wild, but we've already talked about it thanks to Swinub. Route 221 has Nidorina and Nidorino, which I've already talked about basically. Route 222 has Flaffy, but if you want Mareep, it can be found on Valley Windworks. Because Ampharos, a bulky electric type that's very slow, but can take hits pretty well, has some decent moves in its arsenal, and yeah, it's just a really fun little electric type to use, so yeah. I quite like it. It's a fun Pokemon, especially in Heart Gold, which we'll talk about later. So, there are some Belcradar Pokemon that are on routes we haven't explored yet, but we'll wait for that, because we're going to be going to those routes anyway. So anyway, Lake Verity and Lake Valor has something you want to be on the lookout for, potentially. Wobbuffet. Wobbuffet has Shadow Tech, which means that it can help you find roaming Pokemon, which is very useful, because yeah, roaming Pokemon are annoying, and Wobbuffet can just trap them, so yeah, that's really cool. And yeah, there's nothing else to really say, I guess. It's Wobbuffet. It only attacks Mechanery, and it has Shadow Attack, which is extremely annoying. Yeah, it's one of my least favorite Pokemon to fight, let's just say. I already talked about that before. Aron can be found on the Fuego Ironworks. It's a very bulky, Steel Rock type Pokemon that evolves into a really cool looking Acheron. It's solid. It can hit pretty hard with Steel and Rock type moves, even as Earthquake for coverage, and yeah, of course it has really good physical defense. It's just that its weaknesses are very easy to exploit, so you need to be very careful when using it. But if you are, it'll reward you really well by tanking a lot. Then there's Eternal Forest, which is home to Nincada, a Pokemon that evolves into 2 different Pokemon, which you can both get at the same time, which is very funny. Ninjas is a really fast bug flying type that's mainly used on Baton Pass. With its speed boost ability, it can hit back kind of hard, but yeah, that's not really what it's made for. It just lets the Baton Pass Sword Stance as speed boost to its allies. That'd be really annoying because of that. The other Pokemon that Nincada becomes is Shedinja. You need a space in your party and a Pokeball, and then you get it. It's a bug ghost type with 1 HP, and the gimmick is that it's the Wonder Guard ability, so the only way it will faint is if you hit it with super effective moves. Unfortunately though, there are other ways, like Leech Seed, Toxic, Will-O-Wisp, Sandstorm, Hail, all that jazz. So yeah, it's not really that indestructible. And Bug Ghost is a little misses, so yeah, it's not great. Although it does counter some very funny Pokemon like Kyogre. Kyogre basically can't hurt it, so yeah. That's pretty funny. And then finally, there's Loud Red at Mount Coronet top. It becomes Exploud, an alright mixed attacking normal type, but it's kind of slow. But it has really fun type coverage. That's what makes it fun to use. But yeah, lived far away from when it became actually really cool in Generation 6 of Boom Burst, so yeah, that's okay. Still an interesting Pokemon though, in this generation, even if it's not like super amazing, so yeah. Alright, so that's all the Pokeradar Pokemon. Let's go on to our next topic for today, which will be swarms. So, and if the swarm is nearby to us, then yeah, we'll go and check it out. Route 222. They said there's a whole bunch of Skidida. So yeah, let's go and catch one. And yeah, Route 222 is the one near Sunny Shore. So yeah, while we go catch a Skitty for ourselves, let's talk about the other Pokemon you can catch via the Swarm. Route 201 has Doduo, a very fast normal flying type that becomes Doduo, which is very decent. It's alright. The only problem is that again, it's not as impressive start in this generation because it doesn't have the type coverage. It can hit hard, but that's really it. So yeah, again, like yeah, it's not horrible, it's definitely good, but yeah, again, the competition is pretty stiff when you have Staraptor in the same game, so yeah. But yeah, like I said though, you might have some fun using it. I definitely quite like it too. It has access to Drilpick, and then I think it can also get access to Brave Bird via breeding too, so that's not too bad. But yeah, again, it's kind of far away from when it got its massive buff when it became a really awesome Pokemon. Route 202 is home to Zigzagoon, which is a Pokemon. One of its main claims to fame is Belly Drum and Extreme Speed once it evolves, but you need to breed for Extreme Speed, I'm pretty sure. Other than that though, it's a very mediocre normal type outside of that, and yeah, it's another early game normal type that just doesn't hold up in terms of stats, so yeah. Nothing much else to say, it's a one-trick pony with that Belly Drum moveset, so yeah. Route 203 is home to Cuba, which evolves into Marowak. They can hold the Fit Club, which doubles its attack stat, which is really good, but the problem is it's very slow, so you need to be very careful when using it. It is a Skitty, by the way. It can't stop itself from chasing moving things, and it runs in a circle chasing its own tail. Very cute. Unfortunately, this Pokemon's horrible, but yeah, we'll get into that later. I don't know why I went to Heartland, but anyway. Actually, we do want to go to Heartland for the next thing, so yeah. Never mind, I'm big brain. So, back to Cuba, and yeah, like I said, very powerful Pokemon, but because it's slow, you need to be careful, because it can never get picked off by opponents that have super effective moves, because it's so slow, and it won't be able to get that Fit Club damage off. But yeah. Thanks to Trick Room though, you might be able to get it to, you might be able to make it do some very interesting things, so yeah. I like Cubone a lot, but yeah, it's definitely not as impressive now as it was before, so yeah. And Route 206 is home to Larvitar. Oh boy, Larvitar. It becomes Tyranitar, which has Sandstream for its ability, and in this generation, it basically busts its own special defense, so it becomes a really tanky Pokemon, despite the fact that it has tons of weaknesses, so yeah. Couple that with an amazing move pool and a really interesting Rock Dart type, and yeah, you have one of the best Pokemon in the game. And yeah, of course, thanks to its ability, it can facilitate other Pokemon that like the sand. Although there aren't that many Pokemon in this generation, because sand rushes are a thing, so yeah. Amazing Pokemon, used to be one of my favorite Pokemon in fact, so yeah. I like it a lot. Route 207 is home to Phanpy, a very solid ground-type Pokemon when it becomes a Donphan. Decent moves, actually has some pretty cool type coverage in this game thanks to Ice Shot via breeding, and yeah, it just gets the job done. Of course, what's mainly known for is Rapid Spins, so yeah, that's obviously incompatible, obviously. But yeah, very slow ground type, you can't go wrong with it if you want a good ground type on the physical stats. Route 208 is home to Dunsparce, a very mediocre Pokemon with some interesting potential. It has Serene Grace, it can paralyze Pokemon with either Thunder Wave or Glare, and it has access to Headbutt and Bite, so it can flinch cheese people. That's what Dunsparce is known for. Outside of that though, its stats are very mediocre, and yeah, it's nothing too special outside of flinching people does, so yeah. And that strategy is much better done by Togekiss and Jirachi, so yeah. Dunsparce of course is, yeah, pretty mediocre. But it would become better in later generations. Then we got Snubbull on Route 209, a very cool North-type Pokemon with a high attack stat and the Intimidate ability, also because of Gramble, and has some decent type coverage too. It's definitely not as cool as it is now, because it's now a Fairy-type Pokemon, but even during this time, it's solid. You can definitely make some good use of it. Now though, Route 214, home to Spoink, the Psychic-type Pokemon. This is a lovely little Pokemon, and one of my commentator's favourite Pokemon, in fact his favourite Pokemon. It's an alright Psychic-type. It's mainly known for its good special defense, and in this generation it has access to a lot more type coverage. Although yeah, it did lose some type coverage because the punches are no longer special, but that's okay. But yeah, it's just a really solid Psychic-type Pokemon. Of course, there probably are more interesting Psychic-type Pokemon like Gardevoir, but again, I don't think you can go wrong with Spoink and its evolution Grumpig. Especially if you do go all in and think about a very fun moveset. And yeah, it is a fun little Pokemon. Then I got Drowsy on Route 215. I like Grumpig a lot more than Drowsy, but yeah. Hypno, it can mix attack I guess, but its stats are so mediocre, especially in attacking stats. And it's really only known for its good social defense. And yeah, it's a lot less interesting in this game in my opinion, even though it does have access to some actually decent moves like Nasty Plots, so yeah. Again, I'm not a huge fan of this one. It can technically be used, but I feel like there's much better Psychic-type walls. Then we got Delibird, Route 217. Ice Fly type Pokemon that only learns the move Present Fear level up, which can potentially heal your target, which is not good. And then, yeah, its stats are horrible. It can learn TMs technically, but don't. Just don't use it. It's horrible. Very bad Pokemon. Then we got Route 218, which has Voltorb, a fast Electric-type Pokemon because Electrode. It's mainly known for using support moves because of its high speed, like Rain Dance and Light Screen, for example. Pretty good because of that. Outside of that, it's not a good attacker. You might want to try Charge Beam, I guess. That's its really only way to boost, so yeah. Again though, not too interesting, in my opinion. Then we got Route 221, which we did see in the last part. It's Farfetch'd. Also a really bad Pokemon. Its stats are also bad. Its main gimmick is the Stick, which increases its critical hit rate by quite a bit actually, but yeah. It does have some decent moves to take advantage of it, but yeah, again, this is a very mediocre Pokemon they basically use as a joke. Because yeah, it's no way this thing's better than Staraptor, let's just say. Then we got another bad Pokemon, Route 222, the one we just caught, Skitty. Delcatty, yeah, again, horrible stats, a kind of bland move pool, and one of the weirdest abilities in the game in Normalize, which turns all of its moves into normal type, which, yeah, that's interesting. It's not good though. Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking with Skitty in this generation, so yeah. That's it for the routes we've encountered, except for Valley Windworks and Turner Forest. In the Windworks, you can find Electric, a very cool Electric-type Pokemon once it becomes a Manectric. It's a decent type coverage, now it has access to Flamethrower, I'm pretty sure, so yeah. That's actually not too bad. I think it also has access to Overheat, which is pretty cool too. So yeah, this is a cool Pokemon. I like Electric quite a bit. And yeah, Manectric, decently fast, decently powerful. It's decent, like I keep saying. And finally, Eternal Forest is Slack Off. It has the Tron ability, which you'll get once it's fully evolved again, into a Slacking. It has amazing stats, but its ability basically neuters it extremely hard. But in a regular playthrough, you might have some fun using Giga Impact with it because it's a move that basically has no drawback with it, except for the fact that you can't switch instead of do nothing on next turn, so yeah. It's a funny Pokemon, but yeah, not what I call good. Although, somehow, Tron isn't as bad as another ability we're going to be talking about later. And that's that. Let me take a sip because we still have a lot of Pokemon to talk about. Yeah. So let's talk to this guy. Ahem. There's a lot for me to be proud of inside and outside this home. But what makes it the most proud is my trophy garden on the back. Why bother traveling afar when folk are attracted by my garden? Come to me in hopes of seeing the garden. Well, doesn't that make you envious? You are envious, yes? Why not? Whoa, I bet you are. I knew you would be. But I don't mind. I enjoy sharing my stories with you. So when I go out into my prized trophy garden, Pokémon come running to me. They sidle up as happy as they can be to see me. I probably want to say no to this. I know you're really envious, not fooling anyone. How do you find it? Master's upgrade trophy card, I mean. You did notice the influx of quite rare Pokemon, yes? That's only to be expected. It's Master's trophy card. Ah, okay, here it is. Master took a stroll in his trophy card tail like usual. And... okay, so it's not here yet, I think. Let's try leaving and coming back. Okay, so basically, I believe on the next day, that thing is, basically the butler will tell you that there's a Pokemon in here that, doesn't normally appear here. You basically, and then yeah, you can go in the grass and try to find it. And yeah, this happens every day. So, let's go with the new exclusive Pokemon you can find with this. Jigglypuff is up first. It's a pretty mediocre normal type again. It learns a lot of moves, but it just feels completely outclassed by Clefairy because Clefairy has such an amazing ability in Magikarp. Speaking of which, Clefairies can also be caught here, but we could already caught them in Mount Coronet. Then there's Meowth, very fast, and it has the Technician ability now. So it actually has access to some interesting moves because that like Swift and Water Pulse. Its tagging stats are kind of low though, even with Technician, so you definitely need a booster like Nasty Plot first. Once it becomes a Persian, obviously, so yeah. Okay, but nothing amazing. Then there's Chansey, which can be found here too. We already could have found them early in the game, so no need to go over them again. Ditto can now be found. It copies the opponent with its Transform ability. Unfortunately though, it's very vulnerable while doing this, because it's very slow at fully its speed, so yeah, it's probably gonna get outsped and get taken out. But yeah, once it does transform, it can definitely tend to tails because it copies stat boost, which is pretty cool. But yeah, outside of that though, Ditto is mainly known for its ability to breed with anything, so yeah. Unless it doesn't have an egg group at all, so yeah. That's mainly what Ditto is used for, so catching it here can be very valuable because of that. And then there's Eevee, which you can catch again, which can be nice if you want to try and get more evolutions. Clefairy and Igglybuff are the baby Pokemon for Clefairy and Jigglypuff respectively. Azura can also be found here, but yeah, if you wanted Marill, you could already call it much earlier. Tossel and Minun. These two are alleged type Pokemon that kind of work together in double battles because they have plus and minus for their abilities, which is cool I guess, but yeah. You definitely are making yourself very vulnerable to getting hit hard by like an earthquake or something by running these two, but yeah, they can support each other kind of well, but yeah, outside of that, they're kind of blind alleged type Pokemon. They got Castform, very bad Pokemon with really bad stats, and its a gimmick is that it transforms depending on the weather. It can become water type when it's raining, fire type when it's sunny, rock type, no, actually no, it can't do that. I kinda wish it did. And then ice type when it becomes healing. It's pretty, it has some cool moves, like it could use Hydro Pump and Thunder in the rain, but yeah, other than that though, it's very bad. Bonsai, Manchunian, and Happiny round us out. And yeah, those are all baby Pokemon which you can't already talk about, so yeah. That's that. And I believe the last thing we need to do is go to the Great Marsh. Because once you have the National Dex, a new Pokemon can be found. So, let's go to the story. So, I guess you could just hide here. So anyway. First off, let's talk about Paris. So Paris, yeah, it can be found thanks to the National Dex, but it's one of the binocular Pokemon, I'm pretty sure, so yeah, I think all these are. has really terrible stats, and also, I mean, they're not completely terrible, but it's slow and it has a really bad defensive type. It's pretty good offensively though, so yeah, it's very easy to pick off. But Parasect is mainly known for learning with Spore, which is really good, but also the fact that it has Full Swipe, so it actually really helps catch your Pokemon, so yeah, it has a good niche because of that. Then there's Execute. This is another Pokemon that really loves to be in the sun because of its chlorophyll ability. It's kind of slow though, so yeah, outspeeding it could be quite easy, but hey, now it has actually Trick Room, so you can try to take advantage of that, but yeah. It's a decent attacker, it hits pretty hard on both sides of that, so yeah, you can have some fun with that because I'm pretty sure its evolution now has Low Kick, which is pretty cool, so yeah. Alright Pokemon, I'd say. Yeah, it's not like the most amazing grass type out there, but yeah, it's at least interesting. Then there's Kangaskhan, a decent North type Pokemon with access to some really good moves and the Scrappy ability. Miltank also gets this now, allowing it to hit North types with Fighting and North type moves, so that's really cool. Although it still probably wants Crunch or Sucker Punch, which it now gets, which is really cool. Because yeah, that offers more type coverage, so yeah. I do like Kangaskhan quite a bit, it's alright. But yeah, it would get much better in later generations because yeah, again, it gets that Mega Evolution which was broken. Then yeah, we already talked about Tangler, Hoothoot and Noctowl, Yanma, Wooper, Quagsire, but now we can talk about Shroomish. Amazing Pokemon. What's it because of Breloom? Unfortunately, Spore is really hard to get on this Pokemon because it needs to be a Shroomish to learn and it learns at very high levels. But yeah, Grass Flying type is good. The physical Specialist Foot really helped this Pokemon out. Now has access to physical Grass type moves like Seed Bomb, and yet it still hits really hard with moves like Mark Punch, Superpower, Sky Uppercut, Rock type moves like Rock Slide and Stone Edge. It's a powerhouse, especially if you're able to somehow get Spore on it. I really love Breloom a lot. Then there's Roselia, which we already talked about. Gulpin is new. It becomes Swallow when it evolves, which is an alright poison type. It's a decent boost and a lot of HP. It's not like the most interesting Pokemon in the world, but it's a decent poison type Pokemon that may surprise you when you try to use it. So yeah, I like it. It's alright. But probably first something like Weezing or even Luck maybe. It's hard to say. It's kind of a Pokemon I don't really remember its stats very well, unfortunately. And then there's Carvana, which you can find with fishing, but I believe we need a Super Rod, which we don't have access to yet, but we're going to be getting soon. It becomes Sharpedo, a really one War Dark type, which loves the physical Specialist Fit because it now has access to physical War type moves. And Dark type moves, like Crunch. And it also has access to Ice type too, which is really cool. It doesn't have its hidden ability just yet, which would have been really cool, or its Mega, but yeah. Still though, I love this Pokemon. It's a glass cannon, but a very fun glass cannon. Barboach or Wishcash we talked about. Kecleon. Alright, I guess. It's a very bland, normal type Pokemon that learns some interesting moves, and its ability is more of a hindrance than anything. When it gets hit, it changes the type of the move it got hit by. Yeah, I'm not a big fan to be honest. It's alright, but yeah, it would get a lot better once it gets its hidden ability. Tropius we talked about, and yeah, we basically already talked about everything else, because everything else is a Sinnoh Pokemon. So there we go, that's all the Pokemon in the, that's all the Pokemon with, the Safari Zone, but we still have one last thing to talk about. Remember when I talked about the fact that you could insert your GBA game into your DS? Well, if you do that, and have the National Dex, you can encounter some new Pokemon in new areas, so let's quickly talk about those. So first off, if you have Pokemon Ruby inserted, you can find Seedot and Nuzleaf in various routes. So, like for example, Route 210, you can find both of them in fact, so yeah. So, this is a Grass Dark type Pokemon. It has actually some pretty cool moves now, and it's a pretty good Sun Pokemon because it hits so hard. But yeah, that Dark typing now has access to moves like Sucker Punch, which is really cool. And yeah, it definitely has some pretty decent Grass type moves. It's a fun Pokemon, I really like it, but yeah, it's not as powerful as it gets in later generations though, because yeah, they went pretty mad with the type coverage on Shift Trees, so yeah, unfortunately not in this generation. Then there's Marwile, which can be found on Iron Island. It's a very mediocre Steel-type Pokemon. It has Intimidate, which is cool, but other than that, its stats are kind of bad, and it doesn't have the best moves. It does have some interesting moves, like I think it gets Iron Head and Sucker Punch now, which is cool, but yeah. And actually, it does have some pretty decent type cards, but yeah, the stats are gonna really let it down. And yeah, it really needed a power boost, which it thankfully got Shit 6. Then there's Zangoose, which can be found on Route 208 and 210. It's a very good normal type Pokemon. It has access to an amazing selection of moves like Close Combat and Shadow Claw and Night Slash, and of course alongside Return. And then you can even use Swords into it too. This is an amazing normal type Pokemon. It hits so hard. It is a glass cannon though, so you need to be a little bit careful, but yeah, this thing is amazing. I love what this Pokemon does so much. So yeah, definitely one of my favorites. Then there's Solrock, which can be found on the lakes, Mount Coronet, Spring Path, and an area that we haven't encountered yet. It's a rock psychic type Pokemon that has access to, which does get better with the physical social set because I'm pretty sure it has access to Zen Headbutt now, alongside moves like Earthquake and Rock Slide. It's okay, but again, I feel like it kind of gets outclassed by its counterpart because its counterpart's a bit more focused, I guess. Even though it lacks Rock Slide Stab. Yeah, it's kind of hard to decide which one's the better of the two, I feel like, so yeah. But yeah, Solrock is definitely better than it was before, thanks to physical special split. Next up, if you have Sapphire instead, you can get Lotad and Lombre instead of Seedot and Nuzleaf. Water Grass type's really good. It has actually access to a lot of cool moves like Giga Drain, Surf, and Ice Beam, so it's got some cool type coverage. Of course, its main claim to fame is the fact that it's really good in the rain because of Swift Swim and Rain Dash, so yeah. And its type is good too, so yeah, very solid Pokemon. Then there's Sableye, which is on Island. It's a Dark Ghost type. It's okay, but yeah, Spiritive's a lot more interesting because of its bulk, so yeah. Sableye needs to think about being a bit more sneaky to separate itself from Spiritomb, obviously, so yeah. But yeah, it's alright, but it will get much better in later generations. The next one, because of hidden ability. Then on Route 28 and Route 210 South, Survivor. A Poison type Pokemon is a good type coverage, but it's very slow, so you need to be a little careful when using it because of that. It's a fun Pokemon, I want to use it one day, but again, it's not what I call the most amazing Poison type in the world. It's kind of mediocre, but hey, that fun move pool might be interesting. I think it gets like moves like Flamethrower, Giga Drain, and Earthquake, so yeah, that's a lot of fun. And finally, the lakes, Mount Coronet, Spring Path, and that area I haven't counted yet. Lunatone, the special attacking counterpart to Solrock, so it gets moves like Psychic and Ice Beam, which is cool. But yeah, other than that though, it doesn't really get any Rock type moves, so yeah, again, it's a bit questionable how good this Pokemon is. That's really all I gotta say. It's okay, but I feel like there's much better Psychic types around. Then we've got Emerald. You can find Pinecoat in a lot of areas like Route 203, 204, 210 South, and Eterna Forest. Pinecoat becomes Fortress, a bug Steel type Pokemon that's very bulky. It's able to support its team really well because of Rapid Spin Spikes and Toxic Spikes. You can Explode too. It's a very solid Pokemon, but yeah, it doesn't really hit back hard because it lacks good moves for its type. I mean, actually not really. Bug type moves it's kind of lacking, but does a Charvel now, which is cool. Then we return to 24/7 to Shuckle, which, actually we haven't been there yet. But I'll still talk about Shuckle though. Actually no, we'll talk about Shuckle yet. We'll wait to Route 224, so... but I think you'll already know what I'm going to talk about when I do talk about it. And next up is Teddiursa, which you can find on Route 211 and Lake Acuity. And it's a Evolution Earthstring, which you can find on Acuity Lakefront and 216 and 217. So Earthstring, very strong normal type Pokemon with a lot of attack. But yeah, it hasn't reached its full potential yet. But even this generation, it's alright. It learns some pretty cool moves, I think. But yeah, you need to do something about the loose speed. It does have Guts though, so yeah, if it gets a hit off, it's gonna hurt really badly with a Facade, so yeah. I like it, but yeah, again, it's a little bit unwieldy. Then we got Caterpie, but here we need Fire Red in the G-base slot. And Metapod, Eterna Forest, you can find both of them. It's kind of mediocre Pokemon, Butterfree does have access to Compound Eyes and Sleep Powder, which is cool, but other than that though, yeah, it doesn't really do much. So yeah. Still though, I am a fan of Butterfree, it's a cool Pokemon. Then we got Ekans and Arbok. Ekans is Route 212 South, and Arbok is actually in the Great Marsh. It's a mediocre poison type Pokemon. Its stats are okay, but nothing impressive, but it does have Intimidate for its ability. It does access some better moves now, like Gunk Shot for example. I think it also gets Seed Bomb. I like Arbok a lot because it has an amazing design, but yeah, other than that though, it's a very mediocre poison type. It does get a little bit better in the next game though. It does get a little bit better in the next generation, I should be saying, because of Coil. Then there's Growlithe on Route 201 and 202. A very fun fire-type Pokemon, because it has access to some... Because the physical special split does help it out a little bit. I think it has access to Flare Blitz now, but it might be a next generation thing. It can also special attack a little bit too, it also has access to Thunder Fang. It's a cool Pokemon. I definitely quite like it, but it's solid. And yeah, Intimidate though is definitely a very big boon of it, so yeah, I recommend getting that ability. Next up in Leaf Green, Weedle and Kakuna as you expect. Beedrill's not an amazing Pokemon. It doesn't have amazing type coverage in this game yet. It doesn't get True Run yet, so yeah, you have to wait on that. It's a very mediocre Pokemon because it kind of hits hard, but it's very slow, so it's very vulnerable. So yeah, not the biggest fan. Then there's Sandshrew and Waver Cave. Its evolution of Sandshrew can be found on a later route. Sandshrew is an alright ground type Pokemon, but nothing special. Like, it can't even learn Earthquake via level up in this game, unfortunately. It gets Swords Dance a little bit, it has access to like X's and Rock type, but other than that, it's nothing too special. But hey, if you want a different flavor of ground type Pokemon, it might not disappoint you. And then finally, there's Vulpix on Route 209 and 214. It's alright, it's a fire type Pokemon with a lot of special defense once it goes Ninetales. It has actually access to some pretty cool type coverage and Energy Ball. Then other than that though, yeah, it's alright. It's nothing that special, and there's much harder hitting fire type Pokemon, so yeah, I'd probably pass on that one. And finally though, if you have any game inserted, and you go to the old chateau, in the room with the eyes on the wall, you can find Gengars there, so you don't need to trade for them. And yeah, that's a pretty big boon, but of course, it's the post-game, so yeah. Nothing much else to say though. But anyway, now that we're done talking about tons of Pokemon, real quick. Yeah, if I talked about them in detail, yeah, we'd be here forever. But yeah. Next time though, I think we're going to be going to catch a new legendary Pokemon. Yeah, that's what we're going to be doing next. So yeah, look forward to that, and I'll see you guys again for